Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew, also known as GingerHacker, and I'm very excited to continue and bring to you our Breaking Into Cyber series, where we bring on professionals, folks within the industry, everyone from tier 1 to CISOs, directors, and some crazy monsters here in the field. And let me tell you, I'm very excited to introduce our guest for today's episode of Breaking Into Cyber, Michael Goetzman. And Michael, I'm going to pass it to you for a short introduction.
Hey, Andrew. So, yeah, I'm Mike Goetzman. A lot of people know me as the Handle Monster. I've been around the hacker circles for quite a while. I'm a 20-year retired goon at DEF CON, and you might have seen me at almost every conference in the United States. To some, I'm also known as the former Chief Information Security Officer for Masterlock, and also known as the Shitty Padlock Company. And which obviously I find hilarious, and the community finds hilarious, especially when people are picking locks, and I'll come over and I'll be like, "Look at this little secret," right? I'm also known for running Wisconsin's largest tech conference. We get almost 3,000 attendees, and Minnesota's hacker conference. I like to dabble in a lot of things, and thanks for having me on the show.
Now, we're so excited to have you here. And I'll quickly add in this. Like, I remember I was watching like a lockpick video, and someone's like, "You want to know the best way to open up master lock?" And he just grabs another master lock and like hits the master lock and it opens up. He's like, "Another master lock."
Nice. It's like the deception. So I sat at Masterlock. I sat next to like our R&D area and our quality control area. So I got to see like the latest and greatest stuff and like where we could improve, right? And now here's a really odd fact. When I was at Masterlock, I was one of two locksmiths, certified locksmiths in the whole company. And like the company didn't know that like their cybersecurity guy was like also a locksmith, because I did that for fun, right? So quality control would tell me like, "Hey, we have this new lock. Will you come like test it out?" So we'd go in the back, they'd turn on all the cameras, and they would pick like 5 to 10 people around the company to just come like play with stuff, right? And it was always something different. They're like, "Okay, we want you to hit these 5 locks with this crowbar and see if you can pop them open," right? And sometimes they were competitors' locks. Sometimes it were just our locks. And I would like swing the crowbar and the lock would just like break off. And I'd look at them and be like, "I hope that wasn't one of ours," right? And it was always mixed results, but I was always surprised at how quick you could disarm some of these products, right? Like our products or our competitors. And I'm like if the general population knew just how insecure all these locks that you buy at Walmart are, like people maybe would like think about investing a little more into those locks.
It's funny the amazement of, I guess, call it like a false security kind of, in a sense of like, "Oh, I have this lock. It's going to prevent folks from getting in." But at the end of the day, if someone wants to get into something, they're going to probably find a mean or a way to do it. But
Exactly. It's like um, we would go to these retail shops and say like, "Hey, for a wholesale price of like $2, you get this lock," right? But for $2.09, we can add these security features. And they're like, "Oh no, our customers don't want that. They feel secure enough with the ones we're selling."
man, well, lock picking very much well might come later down the road for questions, but I'm going to go ahead and we're going to send down the first question we ask everybody that comes onto the channel, and that's the origin story. So, way back when, back in maybe your elementary school days, usually our teachers have a career day. We draw pictures of what we want to be when you grow up, and we say doctors and lawyers and firefighters. But obviously, cybersecurity kind of fell into our laps for our calling. So, can you kind of run us through maybe what was your journey and what did it look like as you broke into cyber?
Yeah, so it goes back to, I remember, so I'm born in '83, and making me 43. And I was fortunate enough to have computers my whole life. I grew up with my mother being in healthcare and my father being in banking. And data processing back then for both those areas was like effective for their jobs, right? And but yet the internet didn't exist yet. So I dabbled around in like my own world playing games, and you know, especially back when Microsoft had the little mouse that you could run around. What is that, Mousetrap or something like
Yeah.
that? So I started off with like, you know, barely able to talk, but yet running a mouse around a screen, not really know what I was doing, right? And I went outside a lot. I would say that like I would get like an hour to play on the computer, and then I'd play outside with the neighborhood kids, right? Like very 80s style, small, like rural Wisconsin, 700 population in my whole town. So like I could jump on my bike and go anywhere and everywhere of what I knew my world to be, right? And I feel like that gave me a lot of creativity, and that stuck with me, like the core foundation of like this individual imperative of like the whole world is, I'm able to make it creative and free. And we build forts in the woods, and we would start fires and be naughty, right? Like, and hope we didn't burn the place down. And I contribute a lot of that exploration and freedom to that hacker mentality that I have today. So swinging back on the computers of how I got into this career path is the second we were able to have those computers talk to other computers, right? So I thought I was on the internet, but I was really dialing into a bulletin board system and learning how to type in mud games. And you know, later finding out that I taught myself how to type as quick as possible, and I wasn't able to be taught how to properly type, right? So I was typing 2 to 3 times faster than all my peers, but was getting marked like as a fail because of my fingers being in the wrong positions, right? So I started off like for the first few years on bulletin board systems. And then I would get in online fights in my games. Like somebody, I went straight into games that were PvP. So I had like, you know, 20 to 40-year-olds like slaughtering me in these games, and I would get mad. So finally I figured out like what are ways to break the game and manipulate the game, and slowly kind of taught myself loopholes. And I think that just kind of like set the mind of like, oh, there's ways past these guardrails that the developers had in mind. Um, and then, you know, I got into all the naughty stuff of tools. And then when the modems were busy, I was win nuking things so I could get my friends into the games. And you just, it snowballed into like a career, which is really frightening.
I think it blends into that aspect though, that many folks that kind of get into this industry, we have that curious puzzle set mind of like, I want to see what is this doing? And it's the why. And a lot of us ask that why. And then if we don't know why, we break it apart. We build it back together, see what's going on. We try to do that reverse engineering. So, but I think there's a funny part of that aspect of it too, where in a sense, you mentioned it very much so, you self-taught yourself a lot of things, because I'm also assuming kind of, I'll say way back when, I don't want to say back in the day, but cybersecurity itself probably wasn't really in schools or colleges very much yet. It was probably more of like an engineering degree. So it seems like there's a lot of more back end self teaching that had to get done. So I guess my follow up question is, when it comes into like a resume aspect, I guess, for a lot of these younger folks trying to break into cyber, whether that's into pen testing, GRC compliance, there's obviously the certification path, there's the education path, and then there's the hands-on path. Where do you rank the three and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. So right off the bat, I don't like most certifications. And here's my reasoning behind that. A lot of them you can just straight up purchase. So that dilutes the value of certifications. Now, there's a few exceptions like CISSP. So even if you feel like you're not qualified for a CISSP, take the test anyway because it's dynamic and it's hard to cheat at. So there's value there. And if you don't have the years experience or the educational upgrades to make those experience years fall off, you get to be the associate of ISC squared until you do have that, right? But then when you look at like, I shouldn't like name certifications, but almost every other certification Literally, you can find some shady dude online, pay him $500, and suddenly you're verified on the official website that you have that certification. It's just, the system's corrupt. Don't play in a corrupt system, right? Now, I think what the other two pillars are, what, like education and then like hands-on.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So you have to fill in the pieces of the pie, right? Like I say, like in general, and there's always exceptions. So you can't have one data point tell you what to do. In general, you need a standard education. I would recommend anything other than cybersecurity as that path. If you want to be the best at cybersecurity in systems, you should learn systems before you learn cybersecurity. If you want to be the best at networking, do networking and then learn how to secure the network, right?
Yep.
And then security is an end career in general, an end career kind of path of you have to kind of know a lot of things about what you're securing to get the gig, right? So I tend to push people away from cybersecurity degrees unless you're master of something else already. And then hands-on, like that's going to, there's a lot of ways to do hands-on, but like where I see it most effective is challenges at real events with real people. And it might not even be the actual challenge. It might be hanging out with the people after the challenge at night, just messing and tinkering with toys, right? Home labs is very helpful. Just get things and break them and then fix them and then break them and then fix them. It's just, there's a lot of watching YouTube videos of people that are breaking and fixing the same things.
YouTube Academy. So
yeah, it's like, and I'd even say even before YouTube, it's like, okay, you would get this old device and you just tinker with it, break it. My parents had to call in like people to fix the computer all the time because I was like, oh, I didn't know I couldn't delete that file, right? Like, and then I was like, now I learned watching that individual of how to do a OS restore, right?
I tell the story that the way I learned how to do cybersecurity and like defensive blue team is my family and my brothers downloaded LimeWire on all of our computers, and I had to quickly go in and learn how to remediate that because as awesome LimeWire was, it was very destructive on some machines once it kind of got into the weeds of things.
Yeah, I'm guessing my systems had so many backdoors, and I was monitored by every possible adversary online, but I was ignorant of that younger. That I'm glad I didn't do anything that was worthwhile to anybody. God forbid what my parents were doing on the same computer, so we'll just ignore that.
And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, right? So education's great. It's I always call it like a check mark to the HR algorithm with some jobs that are still old school that require that degree process showing that you've completed something for 4 years. But at the same sense, the hands-on piece, like I'm gonna use Cipher Con for the example. I know they had in your safe cracking village they had this year. They had some brand new kid, never done safe cracking before, came there the first day, checked out the room, loved it. He didn't kind of get it right the first time. They gave him some resources. He went back to his hotel, watched some YouTube videos, came back, ended up getting, I think, like the room record and a black badge to come back to CypherCon. And it just shows you that creative thought process, like someone, you find that interest, you then research that interest, and then in a sense you can, if you're teachable and have if you know the way you learn, you can teach yourself what to do to be successful.
Yeah, you hit on something we're really proud of, right? That moment we're proud of like, it's the full gamut of what you look for. Like somebody comes into a room, gets excited, like, what is that? Gets passionate and curious about it, starts researching it, and then becomes like, in record time, breaks the competition, wins things, and is a prime example of like why we exist, right? Like, think about the people on the other side of the table of how proud they were of like this is why they're there. They used to be on the other side of the table. They used to be the one tinkering with it, and somebody looked at them and said, like, you have potential. Let me show you some stuff, right? And then that's our philosophy of our event. Like when you win, what is the black badge at our event called the red badge or the blood badge of Cipher Con? It's hey, you won a lifetime badge. welcome. The lifetime of the event, you're now working for us.
Yeah.
We turn that around, right?
I love how you guys do that, by the way. So it's like everyone that gets one's like, congratulations, you're now working for me until you stop coming. It's like, that's wild. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like, and we encourage that. We're like, okay, the first year you come to this event, like there's no obligations. Check it out, get curious, find your people, find your areas. It's conferences within conferences, right? Then the next year, like step it up. Like let's see some stuff out of you. Like you had a whole year to think about this. And the third year is like, okay, you stepped it up. Now what are you going to do back for the community? Because that's how we grow our community and we elevate the community and those around us, right? Is it's kind of like the three steps. Now you mentioned something I wanted to comment about is like education's like that check mark for HR. But what I got a lot of value out of education is the people I met along the way, not the content necessarily, right? And I encourage you to, like, while you're going through education, find somebody that is like 5 steps above what you think you're capable of being, the top of the top. Like, who impresses you? Is it a professor? Is it a graduate student? Is it somebody that wrote a book that everybody talks about? Go straight up to them confidently and say, like, hey, I would love to pick your brain sometime. Can I buy you lunch? And then suddenly you have a mentor, and don't get one mentor, get 2 or 3, so you can see things from different angles. And then once you feel like you've made it like halfway to where you want to be, make sure you're mentoring other people in the community. And like, we all stand on the shoulder of giants. We can also become that giant and have other people be risen up, right? So it's this whole ecosystem of how do we make the world better and systematically, like, actively do it.
So I love what you're saying there too, because networking is huge and key. And I think that's sometimes like the fourth wall that folks need to understand. Many of us in this community in cyber can be introverted. We don't want to go out and kind of be outgoing. And it's very much, I have to go find your people, join Discord communities, join local meetups. And that kind of links me up to my perfectly for the next question, because obviously you're giving back so much to the community with Cipher Con. I kind of have to ask, how did Cipher Con kind of come to be or come around? What was the idea around it?
So it's multiple faceted, like a lot of things. I would contribute. The biggest thing is I was going to a lot of events and being social in the events. And like, look, I want to be an introvert. Like, I want to just stay home and just grind away on systems. And I decided, like, like when I'm on my deathbed, did I contribute? Did I make the world better? Right. So I literally have to fake it until I become it, being this extrovert. So I forced myself to kind of go to these different meetups around rural Wisconsin, right? So I'd have to drive 3 hours plus to show up to this event where, like, I don't know anybody's name. And I'm like, what are we working on? Or what is this, right? I felt completely out of place. And then I would slowly go to 2 or 3 or 4 events like around Wisconsin. And I realized, okay, there's 20 events a month. And I'm like, okay, that's too much. And at the same time, my wife and I had kids, and my kid's like, why is dad never home? And I'm like, ooh, that hurts, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, I want to be part of the community and I want to elevate the community, but I'm also a father. I need to focus on. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to all these events. I'm going to make everybody come to me. So I'm like, what would be cool? Well, I'm going to sell 100 tickets for $100 each at a speakeasy bar in Milwaukee. And I'm like, I know 100 friends that'll come immediately. And sure enough, I sold out immediately, to the point where other friends were mad I didn't tell them first, right? So then I was like, how do I make my friends not mad at me? I'm
Real
like,
quick,
of course,
can
I'm
we
make a second day, right?
can you just reiterate the place that you took all your friends to for the very first CypherCon? Because you took us there when we went. If you want to, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I mean, it was pretty cool.
It's a 50-year-old speakeasy bar And there's a lot of speakeasies now, right? Like you can go to the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, and there's 6 speakeasy bars in the Cosmopolitan, right? So they're not like uncommon anymore. But 50 years ago, there weren't a lot of speakeasies. And this one is called the Safe House in Milwaukee. And it's a spy themed, James Bond themed, and they try to make it very like Hollywood vibes to it. But if you look past that Hollywood vibe, the decor in the bar is a living museum of real spy content. And the first ever keynote of Cipher Con, so what is that, like 2015, 2016, something like that, was a real US spy caught in Eastern Berlin in the Cold War and imprisoned, and didn't think he was going to make it out. Like they guillotined people in his neighboring cells. And so if you go on YouTube and search for, CypherCon 1, like spy, you can find this video. And that's one thing I really tried to do with the events is like capture all this historical content. So one, for me, I'm so spaced out at my own events that I want to watch them later. And two, other people want to watch this stuff, right?
Follow-up question. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite CypherCon year?
Oh, there's favorite things in all the years, and I feel like it's getting better and better and better every year. But there's something to be said about year one, right? Of like, the intention wasn't to be a conference; it was to be like a local meetup with friends. Like, obviously, we imagined it to become big and like change the culture of our state. And it did, like, but at the time we were like, you know what, like we're in this iconic bar that's history of the history of our city, and it brings interesting people together and people have fun. And like at the time it was we knew it was something special, we just didn't know it was something special that was only going to happen 1 year, right? Because like we outgrew the place like in a month.
Yeah.
So, and I would argue I don't even remember a lot of it because it happened so fast. And then like I processed it after the fact, right? And I was like, wow, that just happened. Like, should we try this again next year? Like, and now that like since 2018, I believe, we've been the largest tech conference in the state of Wisconsin, and we're a hacker conference. Like, I feel like that is so awesome. Like, how long can we run with this cultural phenomenon in rural Wisconsin, which is a flyover state, of like, is there other reasons to come visit us, especially when the weather's bad all the time? So then like I wanted to recreate that magic. So half my friends and half my family live in the state of Minnesota. And I was born right on the edge of Wisconsin, Minnesota. So like I feel like both these states are my home. So we started SecretCon in Minnesota, and in fact the next one coming up is in June, and it's SecretCon 4. So I got to recreate the first year of a conference a second time, and it was the same kind of magic. Like I look around and I'm like, it's an excuse for all my friends, even some of my family, to come out. It's really hard to like say like here's a magical moment that we can celebrate, and here it is every year. You know where to find me.
I think one of the coolest parts was like during the closing ceremonies for CypherCon, you had your daughters, and because I'm also a father, so like, but I think it's really cool that you really impact and bring your family in to the conferences as well. I know your wife's involved, your kids were involved, your daughter was selling white rabbits this year for I think a really cool fundraiser that people were like trying to chase her and find them. It was really cool. But at the very end, you had her actually pick another one of the winners of like the red badge or black badge by just like going like, hey, go down there, pick an aisle. 1, 2, 3. I thought that was just really cool. Like being a dad, I have my daughter, a son, and one on the way. It's like that's probably my aspirations of like, just like you said, like being involved in this community is huge. You get to you can give back so much, but like always make sure you still take care of yourself. Imposter syndrome's real. Take care of your family. But I think it's just really cool that you get to involve them in all those kind of things. So I just, yeah, huge shout out to that real fast.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like, so it's one as a father trying to encourage my kids to do good causes for the community, right? So my daughter was raising money by selling white rabbits. Follow the white rabbit. It comes with a ribbon with a puzzle on it that leads you down paths, right? And you could win things. So not only are you donating to a good cause, it gives you a path of discovery and excitement, right? And so she raised $1,600 for a food bank of her choice.
Wow.
And I let, and then the prior year, my son, he did cows, and he raised money for the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
That's
And
so cool.
so that's, people watching this event are probably fans of the EFF. And he chose that, right? Like I went to them and said, like, how do you want to help humans? Because it's easy to like be like, oh, I want to donate money to the animals and stuff like that, right? Like cute cats and stuff like that. But it's like cats are cute, but like let's elevate humanity too, right?
Yeah.
So another thing I'll add is you know bringing family in on it. They feel so proud of being part of it too, right? Um, so it gets everybody around me excited, like, hey, it's coming up, like, and that helps too, like hearing the support and encouragement of like, cousins and direct family, like that helps because it's a long, hard hours.
I can only imagine. Well, Michael, this has been surreal and so glad we got to have you on. We have two more questions for you, but as a huge thank you for coming on the channel, we will be making sure you have the link to the GingerHacker swag shop to give you an item of your choice as a huge thank you for coming on, for
Awesome.
letting us steal some time out of your day. So last two questions I have for you is, so when you're not doing cybersecurity, when you're not planning conferences, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do to unplug, recharge for the week, and kind of get ready for that Monday?
So I can't hold still. Every novel, unique, interesting thing I have to chase. So be it going to when I'm in Wisconsin, the EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association, or Oshkosh.
Oh,
And I
okay.
used to fly experimental airplanes until my wife got pregnant, and she said, "Can you try to stop killing yourself?" Right. I've been in hot air balloons. I've been in Zeppelins. I've been in float planes. Like I was doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh,
So I
wow.
settled down a little bit, and now I just go to festivals, music festivals. I'll go to probably 50 to 100 conferences. Sometimes they're not even in technology, just interesting things. Um, I like to see shows, theater, anything that's like unusual and not normal. Like I seek it out. It's like I can't hold still. And then there's days that I just want to nap with my cat, right? Like you gotta pace yourself.
No, and that's understandable. And I think those are all the one thing I think a lot of folks have learned is in this industry too, with burnout being such it's a real thing, having something that can kind of really unplug you, get you away from the screen, that's a fun hobby that you can do with your family, your friends. I know Mashal, we were talking a few weeks ago, and he's like, he likes to go out and have coffee with his friends, which none of them are in cyber. So he gets to go and like just not talk about cyber and enjoy some coffee time. And I have other friends that go to the gym or they go see movies or travel. And no, I think that's valid and very important to kind of have that healthy kind of reset and start to kind of like get ready for your Mondays. Well, Michael, this has been fantastic. And then, real quick, another plug for Secret Con. So, that is coming up in, I think you said July or
June
June.
4th and 5th in the Twin Cities. So if you want to come to Minneapolis, St. Paul, come visit the Mall of America, and then come check out a conference in year 4 that's still in this like growth period of looking at everybody's eyes of discovery and wonder. Like come visit us. And if you just reach out to contact us on SecretCon's website, I'll even hook you up with a discount.
Hey, we'll be dropping those links down, of course, in the video, of course, as well, for those wanting to attend Cipher Con this year. And Michael, this has been fantastic. Love getting to finally have you on the channel. So last but not least, the final question we ask you before we sign off, what's that last piece of advice you'd give somebody trying to break into cyber?
So it's a cliche answer is like have the maximum amount of curiosity, fight through that imposter syndrome, like you're part of this community, and then find your people. Like, everybody's got to kind of fight through that, like getting off the couch or getting off the chair, the computer, and like physically go find your people. And they want friends. You're looking for friends. And then once you find friends and you feel comfortable and you feel like, you can trust your community and you can rely on your community, we all elevate each other. So everybody, like, here's an example. Every speaker I have at Cipher Con, after they're done speaking, they come over and say, Mike, how did I do? And I'm like, what do you mean, how do you do? You're the leader of your particular topic in our industry. And you're thinking that like, you're worried that I thought it wasn't good enough. And then I read an article of Oprah. Oprah has interviewed the most interesting people in the world in every topic, right? And the same thing happened to her, that she would literally be interviewing a president. And after the cameras went off, the president would be like, how did I do? And Oprah couldn't believe it. We all have imposter syndromes. We will always have that. And if we don't bring it up or somebody doesn't bring it up, they're hiding it inside, right?
Yeah.
So see if you can, fake it until you become it, get past that, find your people in the industry, ask for mentorships, and suddenly you're the one on the speaking stage whispering to the organizer, how did I do?
I love that advice. And yeah, I want to throw out a quick reminder to everybody for wanting to have that first call for paper session. We have 2 call for papers open, actually, one for Noob Village for our noob community at DEF CON that will be in August in Las Vegas. Second, we have the GingerHacker initiative also having our first online conference called GHI Con on the same day as our silent auction. We're going to go ahead and combine those 2 wonderful things later this year in December on a Saturday on the 12th. So yeah, if you're looking for your first talk and you want to do it in person, drop it for New Village and DEF CON. If you're looking to maybe be a little bit more back, just get your feet wet and do an online video call for paper talk, come drop a paper for GingerHacker Initiative Con. Well, Michael, thank you so much again for coming on the channel today. Everybody, drop a comment, drop a like. What was your favorite part? And as always, we'll catch you on the next video.
Thank you.